was just casually taking a shower when Banlist. Oh, make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Where do we start today? Forbidden. Naturia Noroi? Really? Why are we banning Noroi? What is it? Hand knowledge? Is it consistency with the canine package? What did Konami see that we had to deal with in terms of the canine package in general? Because honestly, I didn't really think that was really too crazy to think about. But okay, now Naturia Rosewhip. Okay, this is good. Now that Rosewhip is gone, now we can play Sky Striker into Cool Tune. Naturia Rosewhip was one of the most punishing things that we really could kind of deal with within the format, and it's actually kind of rough. Obviously, Naturia Rosewhip was a very broken card, and I'm glad to see that Konami took some necessary approaches to actually dealing with this. So that's a step in the right direction. Actually being able to, play the game is good. Now, Gimmick Puppet Fantasia Machinex going away. Evidently, there was an FTK running around within the format that actually abused the living crap out of this, which is nothing really too surprising to think about. The org made an entire documentation talking about the FTK, and honestly, it being viable was a little bit crazy. So now we don't have to deal with that. In terms of all of these bans, there's nothing that stands out too crazy to me other than Noroi just got curse splattered. Your limited section. Now this is where I feel like things start to get kind of interesting for the game. So straight off the bat, Cup C, Yummy, Way, going to 1. If there was a card in Yummy that you wanted to approach and actually consider taking out back and blowing up, it was probably going to be Cup C. Cup C has just been too much of a headache along the way, and to see that Konami actually has taken a necessary step here to check that, I do think is fine. Obviously, the deck's not going to need heavy changes, but you're going to have to make some concessions. Fairy Tale Snow is back. Well, I hope you guys are ready for Fairy Tales just to explode up in value over the next couple of days, because what you're going to be witnessing with that is going to be crazy. I guarantee you're going to see so many people wanting to play Fairy Tale stuff going forward, which is kind of crazy. I also do want to take note here that this list doesn't go into effect until the 18th, which is next Monday. They're leaving this entire weekend to be able to see these decks, streamline through and do the thing. We also get to see Malice White Rabbit coming back into the spotlight here, too. I'm not surprised about that. Malice White Rabbit going to 1, so we are attempting to slow things down. Cup C, Yummy, Way going to 1 as well. They really just kind of slapped Cup C or Yummy on the wrist here and said, hey, this is the limitations you're going to be getting with this, which is fine. Branded Fusion going back to 1. This is really funny because I just was reading discussions from people talking about Metamorphosis. They were comfortable with the card being pushed around as like a one-of. Or excuse me, Branded Fusion is a one-of in the deck. Like, I actually saw decks this week that were playing Branded Fusion as a one-of because people were just choosing not to want to play it. So not a real big loss there. Metamorphosis going to 1. Finally. I don't know why it took Konami so long to actually push Metamorphosis along the speedway here of bringing this card back. Because this card is not broken by any stretch of the imagination. It's very, very powerful, yes, but it's nothing too broken. You have to thrust into this card if you want it to get its absolute peak value. So that's something to kind of think about here. Premature Burial. oh, well, this card's about to just go up in price. Just pay 800, special summon a monster in attack position equipped with this card. When this card is destroyed, the equipped monster becomes destroyed. I cannot think of anything that's going to be too crazy with this. I will say, yeah, sure, Premature Burial has some craziness about it, There could be some broken little bits and pieces that, you could slink into the format here to try to abuse this card. Sure, that's fine. All right, nobody's going to, try to push that, but it really does look like that, we're going to just see some craziness with that. So that's something to kind of think about here in terms of that limitation. Radiant Typhoon Chant. Well, you don't want to hit the generic draw power card because you want the decks to be able to do those. So Chant becomes the next possible target that you want to go for. And you know what? I think that's okay. I don't really have a problem with them moving that along. Honestly, I think that's fine. Rahu Draco Tail to 1. Why are we Draco Tail was already getting naturally power crept out of the format. Why do we need to restrict this now? There is no payoff for this. And this is why, I talk a little bit about natural power creep a lot in these videos, because right now, by slapping the Rahu in the face, you just took another deck out back and you just really limited its potential. You took away an opportunity for this deck to be able to do something, and that's kind of disappointing. We also see Synchro Overtake leaping back to 1. Honestly, I'm okay with this. Synchro Overtake is definitely... We need limitations on this because, we have to check Cool Tune to some degree. Might not be, the appropriate hit, but it's the one that I think Konami can choose to do. It's also 2 less starters within the deck, which is good. I mean, they're still going to choose to play this card. If Cool Tune were to cut this, they would just be losing their minds right now. So... that's pretty interesting, but that's your limited to 1 section for this ban list. Now, you're limited to 2 section. Okay, so Lucaeus and Artholion both go into 2. Once again, we came through here, we said we were going to slap Draco Tail on the wrist. We wanted to make sure that this deck gets checked into oblivion. Now that Rahu, Lucaeus, and Artholion... see, the crazy part is, the only Draco Tail list that I saw coming out of this weekend that was really doing anything with these bits and pieces was already cutting Artholion down to 2. This is just another symptom of the format. Konami wants to cut back on the consistency that these decks are kind of facing. Looking at this list as a whole, probably Fairy Tail Snow is going to be a problem. I need some time to think about this list. I've filmed a good chunk of content through the week here that we're still going to upload because I still want to cover the case tournaments. I still want to cover, a lot of the existing format as a whole just to have it covered. I think it is kind of important to be able to, see where the meta was developing. And there's a lot of ideas that will be 100% salvageable within the sphere of these ideas. You will be able to see, oh, hey, we needed this power shift. It's also crazy to me they dropped this in the middle of national season. This just kind of invalidated half of the nationals that have occurred. And that's annoying. We've taken out back and destroyed weeks of potential meta developments for this, just for there to be a week of, this format actually getting a chance to shine. Outside of that, Cool Tune's still going to be your top performing deck. You're still going to be dealing with a lot of the craziness that, you expected this format to have. I just can't believe Konami had the foresight to hit this gimmick puppet FTK. The fact that Noroi just got literally destroyed. Why Noroi? What was so crazy that Noroi just had to be eliminated? The Cool Tune stuff was, or the Canine stuff was already in a massive disproportionate part of the meta. So the fact that, we're now taking that out back and destroying it is a little bit interesting. But I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. So what do you guys think about this list? And before this list is terrible, Kami doesn't know how to design things. There are good things about this list. This just made Columbus look a little bit better for a format. You guys stay safe and have a good rest of your day out there, all right? Patrons! Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.